there's a huge component under the $10 trillion economy that we envision in the next 5 years, which DeepTech will play a part.
Can we reduce the risk of the DeepTech startups?
India's DeepTech ecosystem is clearly booming, but Indian startups need three things.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the session. The idea about DeepTech is that it's no more a niche. It's possibly a global opportunity that Indian startups offer to the globe, along with obviously being ready for investments and backed by policy. The idea that ultimately India has to secure its economic future is dependent on DeepTech. There's a huge component under the $10 trillion economy that we envision in the next 5 years, which DeepTech will play a part. And I'm glad that so many of us could join in to actually explore how DeepTech, the ecosystem is being enabled, how skill is being harnessed, and global partnerships being enabled. Initially, I will just allow everyone, or rather, request everyone to introduce themselves, and then we can get on to some fascinating questions. And at the last, we'll open it up for the audience to, for questions and answers, and also, in terms of any thoughts and some kind of synergies that can be evolved. Ajay.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon. My name is Ajay Singh. I am representing Austrian Embassy's commercial section. I am responsible for technology, innovation, and startup from Austria to India, also Nepal, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, and Maldives. And happy to be here. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Prajeet, Prabhakaran. I am from the IT advisory team of the Honorable Chief Minister of Kerala. My responsibilities are taking care of the attracting the investments, IT investments to the state, that's first, and then taking care of the startups from Kerala, their scalability aspects. So we have got 24 startups here right in back of you, and 20 SMEs in the hall 3. So feel free to interact with them.
Good afternoon, Raghudeep, and I head the digital manufacturing at Ather Energy. Ather Energy is the first India's performance scooter in EV, and looking forward for the session.
Thank you. Very good afternoon. My name is Surya. I'm Program Director with the MeitY Startup Hub, which is one of the division of the Ministry of Electronics and IT as a startup hub. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm Natasha, and I'm a third-generation migration agent from Australia. I'm also a female entrepreneur and a business owner, and I'm co-founder at Tech Visa. So we are immigration solutions for tech startups and scale-ups into Australia and the US. And we're here in India because we've just launched an immigration tech product. So really, really energized to be here. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Mukesh Sinha. I am a co-founder of Gravitas AI Limited. We are in the business of conversational AI. So we have a product related to healthcare, education, or wherever customer care automation is needed. Apart from, I am also the part of the manufacturing company called Osel Devices Limited, recently got listed. And LED screen, whatever you are seeing in these conferences and hearing it, we are the manufacturer. We have a unit at Greater Noida. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Actually, I'll just start with Mr. Suryakant. In fact, Mr. Suryakant, you are at the MeitY Startup Hub, one of the big, enablers of the ecosystem. Could you just give us an overview of the deep tech ecosystem here in India, and also in terms of what is MSH doing in terms of enabling basically private capital and synergizing the academia industry for deep tech in India?
Thank you so much, Anagh. So interestingly, many of the people used to ask that what's the major difference between Startup India and the MeitY Startup Hub? And until unless you will not directly have a discussion with both of the entities, it is hard to define. Startup India is the moreover the mandate is that to create awareness about the startup ecosystem across India. However, under the MeitY there are different 7 divisions, which started with the Technology Development Board, then India AI, India Semiconductor Mission, Bharshni, NEGD, MyGov, and then MeitY Startup Hub. So these are the 7 different divisions under Digital India Corporation, which I think almost all of people is aware about the Digital India. The mandate of the MeitY Startup Hub is to support startup not only through the grant and the funding mechanism, but also through the external market connect, also through the advocacy support to the ecosystem. Considering these things, the first itself, when we launched ourselves as a MeitY Startup Hub, it's been only 3.5 years old we are right now. Being a part of Ministry of Electronics and IT, earlier we started with the only the grant mechanism based scheme to the startups by name of the TIDE, through which we were trying to support the startup via grant. And it's not only the grant, but those institutions as an incubation center are part of these schemes, are primarily also responsible to support these startups from the ideation to the go to the pilot and go to the market stage, all these stages. So currently we have 3 schemes as of now by name of TIDE, Samrid and Genesis. Looking into the scenario what you said, TIDE is the first scheme which we already completed. Samrid is the second scheme where we are providing funding up to 40 lakh to the startups as a matching fund. First, startup have to raise the fund from the external funding. Then based on that, we will able to provide a grant support up to 40 lakh. The third, which is the most recent launch scheme by name of Genesis, is one of its kind. Here, it's a 500 crore of the fund size, 490 crore. Under this, there are 4 verticals. The first time MeitY Startup Hub, because we are only trying to support startups who are into the technology verticals. The startups who are into the non-tech sector, we don't have any mandate to support them. First time under the Genesis, we have introduced the ideation support, which we used to call EIR. Then second goes to the POC based grant. Third goes to the matching fund as similar to the Samrid, but it is up to 50 lakh of the grant. And the fourth, which is the most interesting part, the DeepTech support. So DeepTech based startup where we will able to provide funding support to these startups up to 1 CR. And that's in terms of the grant. We just started with the first of its kind, which is EIR. Rest 3 category is yet to be announced and launched gradually. However, not linking to the grant support, we do also host the Investor Connect program on a regular basis across India, where we do invite startups, and based on the number of startups, we do invite minimum double of the investor in those demo days. We call it the Investor Connect program. So all over India, we did as of now the 8 Investor Connect program. Similarly, on a regular basis, we are also planning in the future course of action that how we can invite more and more startup and the investor into this. So just imagine about for the 8 of the Investor Connect, we had somewhere around 100 plus startup pitching against 200 plus investor. Turnaround through these Investor Connect is somewhere around 60% of the investor has committed and put the fund into the startups. So this is the current scenario where we are right now.
Thank you. That was quite comprehensive in terms of how and what MeitY Startup Hub is doing. The idea that ultimately all the enablers, whether it's MeitY Startup Hub, Startup India, and the IDEX and so on and so forth, the Indian ecosystem is budding and budding with a lot of energy. So and the ecosystem is getting matured, which is attracting a lot more capital into the country, whether it's from outside and whether it's even domestic capital. And possibly my role right now has been only thanks to that. I'll come to Raghudeep. Raghudeep, you are, Ather started as a startup, is on a pathway and a very quick one towards the IPO. It's been a tremendous journey. What do you see in terms of the challenges DeepTech startups face in India, and what could be the potential, scalers that could help them navigate the journey towards an IPO? It's a rare thing. Congratulations on that. But what do you suggest that the government could do more to actually enable a lot more journeys towards the IPO?
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, to start with, yes, it's very encouraging for the government to take initiatives to support the growth of this industry, right? Whereas different initiatives like the PLA scheme, subsidies, and different policy interventions, which is helping this industry grow forward, right? Coming to DeepTech startups, DeepTech is something that they're ahead of the market, right? So they're riding on the uncharted territories, and which is taking up high risks. Yeah, high risks because the product, the innovation which is happening continuously, iterations. They're build, fail, rebuild, right? Until the market readiness is there. And I'm not sure how the market is ready. The customers will accept the product, right? So going with such high risk, so what would the policies of the government would support in this is that can we de-risk, reduce the risk of the deep tech startups, so to ensure that is it they feel safe to fail and rebuild, get another chance to build, not just go down, right? And also how quickly we can get into the POCs and how quickly we can test the product, right? And also maybe to a level that can make a first paycheck and create a marketplace, right? Because yesterday I was speaking to one of my friend from the drone startup, right? So they were saying that, if we get a paycheck from the government, is like, and enable the marketplace, it helps them to, mature the product, and then later, of course, bring it to the commercial space, right? So having said this, there is a strong will from the government to promote this, right? We acknowledge that. At the same time, it's an equal responsibility of the industry too, to engage with the government frequently, right? That will which is there needs to have a right direction, right? So that the efforts put from both the industry and the government is fruitful and goes a long way, right? Yeah.
Thank you. I'll come to you, Prajeet. Kerala is one of those ecosystems that India is proud of as far as deep tech is concerned. And in Trivandrum and around Kochi, there are multiple labs, R&D that's happening, and the path to productization and commercialization is seemingly easy. What is it that has worked for Kerala, and how can one emulate that across the country? Are there any suggestions that you have right now?
Yeah, so see, as far as Kerala is concerned, we are like an ecosystem of 6,000 plus startups. And then the support that we offer is pretty much sector agnostic. Like there are a lot of things that government is putting forward. Like we have our own grants, we have accelerators, we have several schemes. Like Dr. Ajay is here. So we had sent a delegation to Austria. Likewise, we had sent multiple delegations to different countries, and all that delegations are completely sponsored by the government of Kerala. In fact, the Convergence, everything you see, like all these things are sponsored by the government of Kerala. So these things are there, and we are supporting the startups. But as Mr. Raghudeep was mentioning, there should be a mechanism wherein a framework should be there for the fail fast, or maybe POC kind of mechanism will be there. We have a couple of labs there. Maker Village is a very prominent, very famous incubator there, which actually support the startups in the hardware tech. Kerala Startup Mission has got its own incubators in 5 districts of Kerala. Apart from that, we have got launch pads in Dubai. We have recently announced one in Brussels. Couple of them are gonna be in Sydney and US in discussions with that. Having said this, a deep tech framework should be there, right? So Kerala government is seriously thinking about that, and now we are focusing very much on creating our own USPs. So when I say USPs, like what are those sectors where we believe that innovations could fastly come on. So there we have done some studies, and we have came up with 5 sectors. I was discussing this with the panel prior to this discussion. So space is one such sector, because we have a very strong space ecosystem there. We have ISRO, we have VSSE, we have IIST, we have all these scientists who are ready to mentor the startups. We have some amazing space tech startups in Kerala. So we believe that creating a framework over there, and then supporting the startups, the innovators from the very early stage, and then creating a mechanism to support them. That is one such area. Second is healthcare. For the obvious reasons, we are very much strong in the healthcare segment, all the hospitals, all the medical tourism facility, some of the prominent health tech startups from Kerala. Having said that, we are trying to create a mechanism of support system in the healthcare thing. Agri and food is the third sector. Digital media and entertainment. Perhaps Kerala is one among the first states to launch the AVGC policy, like the startup policy. So we have a separate policy now for the AVGC sector startups. And then we have this, renewable energy as the 5 focus. So I mentioned these 5 sectors, right? So compiling these 5 sectors, what government is now thinking is to launch a technology hub, like Maker Village, like incubator, like accelerator. Now we will be having an emerging technology hub, which actually, will be a hub for the deep tech innovations. So what we are trying to create is a kind of a center, a hub wherein all the corporates can come, all the investors can come, all the international bodies can come. They can give the POCs, they can give the investments, we can give the grants. And then, all these innovators, all these startups, they have this provision of developing their product. They can try out, they can fail fast, but they can, make sure that there is a center for them. There are some other elements as well, which I would like to discuss later, but this is something, that we are focusing on the deep tech innovation. As a suggestion, I think, every state government should think these kind of mechanisms, wherein, a kind of hub should be there for promoting the deep tech innovations.
Thank you, Mr. Prabhakaran. I'll jump to another side of the coin in terms of expansion and bring you in, Mr. Ajay. How is it that, obviously the Indian ecosystem is maturing. How is it that Indian, startups can tap into various other markets and also international companies benefit into having the kind of a ringside view of the Indian innovation ecosystem, which is just coming of age, and what can be done more?
Thank you for the questions, and I'm really glad to see that I don't have to say that the difference between Austria and Australia here. So you have both present. Generally, when we say Austria, people in India they understand Australia. Then I have to say Vienna. So Vienna is more famous than Austria itself, and my colleague from Austria can also vouch on that. In terms of startup and internationalization of Indian and Austrian startups, we have several initiatives. One, Prajeet just told about this Kerala Startup Mission. We supported them to Austria. We gave them a roadshow to Austria's most promising innovation clusters. So Vienna to Linz, Graz, Salzburg, Innsbruck, and then back to Vienna. So this was a fact-finding mission for the Indian startup to understand what Austria makes sense. Also, the location of Austria being in the heart of the Europe, so it's also a very good opportunity for Indian startup to tap into the whole European market. First is the DACH region, the German-speaking market, then the whole European market via Austria. We are supporting Indian startup in Austria. Almost 175 Indian entrepreneurs have been to Austria with our support in different delegations. One was Kerala Startup Mission. Then recently we had Startup India delegation to Austria. Also, Austrian startups are also participating in India's major event. Bangalore Tech Summit, for example, Huddle in Kerala, for example. Right now, as we speak, we have 18 Austrian entrepreneurs present in participating in various summits in India soft. So we have a lot of ongoing efforts. And if I come to the deep tech sector of it, we have Global Incubator Network, or GIN, Austria. This year is the first year where we selected 7 Indian startups on a fully funded program. This is a 3-month program where we're supporting them with flights, hotel accommodation, 1 month of office space. I mean, this is one part of it, but the main part of it is the mentorship, the hand-holding, the incubation, acceleration in Austria physically. So the program starts on 25th of March, and 8th to 16th of May, they will be physically in Austria, 7 of the Indian startups. We initially supported, last year Prime Minister Modi had a wonderful visit after 41 years. This was the only visit of head of the state to Austria. We supported one of the deep tech space startup. I don't know if I can name that, but yeah, Uber for Space from Bangalore. This was part of the Prime Minister Modi's delegation to Austria. So we are very active, highly active. As we speak, we have one of the company here, Gold Invest from Austria. They are also in the deep tech technology, physically present in India. So we are also bringing in this internationalization. For Indian startup going to Austria, we have several initiatives. One of the initiatives we have with Startup India, India-Austria International Bridge. We launched it during the visit of the Austrian Federal Minister of Economy and Labor, Dr. Martin Kocher, in February. In May, we had our Indian startup delegation, 55 Indian startups. I was present. I took this delegation to Vienna. And just after 22 days of this delegation, Prime Minister Modi had a wonderful visit to Austria. And then we had 26 Austrian technology experts and company participating in Bangalore Tech Summit. So this back and forth innovation and contact and connection is growing, and we invite Indian startup to participate in Vienna Up 25, which is 8th to 16th of May. All are welcome to join, and we will make the connection. And our companies, for example, Gold Invest, our embassy in India and in Austria, we are providing all sorts of support.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Ajay. So that can be actually replicated by a lot of other ecosystems across the world, what you guys are doing. So fantastic on that count. I'll bring in Natasha on that count. Natasha, in terms of immigration of skilled talent across the world, what are the skill areas that you think deep tech startups should work on to make sure that their immigration or their expansion globally is feasible and in a more streamlined way?
Thank you. Really fantastic question and such great insight from all of the panelists as well. So India's deep tech ecosystem is clearly booming, but Indian startups need three things, and that's market access, investment, and thirdly, it's cutting edge R&D infrastructure. And Australia can offer all of those things. And if we hone into skills, there's a real push and demand with AI and quantum. So I'll cover that as well. So if we kick off with market access, in Australia, we currently need 1.3 million more tech professionals coming into the country, and that's by 2030. So we're talking only 5 years away. With Australia, we have a real tech skill shortage across the board. And if we dive into deep tech, 300,000 workers are required within deep tech, which is absolutely massive. So what we really need to focus on doing is fostering this talent exchange between the two nations, between India and between Australia. And if we take it to cricket, because I feel like that's the language that everyone speaks over here, it can't be a one-way exchange. We've given you Maxwell, we've given you Stark, but where's the love back? We'd love some of that talent coming back into Australia as well. Now, the tech talent that does come into Australia, 90% actually find that secure employment, and 80% find that employment within their tech vertical. So if there's a concern about integration, it's open and it's happening. Now, secondly, if we go to that world-class R&D infrastructure, 7 universities in Australia are part of the top 100 STEM universities globally. And Indian startups and deep tech professionals can absolutely access that through these clear visa pathways that are available. Now, to get to this cutting edge technology, what are those first steps we need to action? And that is MOUs. And that's part of the mission as to why myself and my co-founder Sam are here. So we're getting out to Indian universities and signing those MOUs between Australia and India, so we can create those clear, structured pathways so we can share on that joint collaboration on research. In Australia, we've got the science precincts, we've got the space, we've got the R&D parks. We can also offer prototype testing through to semiconductor labs to quantum computing facilities. We've got it. And we've also got the investment as well. One of the startups that we love supporting is PsiQuantum. And PsiQuantum have just received $1 billion in backing from the Australian government, and that's at state and federal level. So the investment's there, and if we can, as we said, really encouraging that talent exchange between the two nations is absolutely critical. Now, we were chatting about it previously, but an area that Australia struggles with is commercialisation. And I know that India has mastered this, and there's obviously been so much investment into that. But what we can offer in Australia is that R&D infrastructure. So if we can lean on sort of the talent, that incredible talent from India coming into Australia, and you can lean on us with that R&D infrastructure together, can really make that sort of that next gen of deep tech professionals coming through. And just finally as well, I just want to show you the investment that the government as well is giving, and that is through the India-Australia Free Trade Agreement. You've also got the Critical Technology Fund. So there are so many programs and investment making this happen. Thank you.
Right, Natasha. Thank you so much. I think Australia is also one of those nodes across the world that is developing quite well as far as AI, quantum, and a set of emerging technologies are concerned. It's already been a cybersecurity powerhouse. All of us know about it, and I'm sure in the other realms, a lot of it will happen thanks to the collaboration between India and Australia. I'll bring in Mr. Sinha. Mr. Sinha, what do you see as priority areas, or rather thematic interventions that can be done to make a conducive ecosystem that all the panelists spoke about, different facets? Probably you could concise that.
Yeah. So everybody is now confirms and agreed that 21st century is an era of technology. And when we talk about the end of first quarter of 21st century, we are seeing that deep tech is taking the leading role. So to get this global, because technology is one thing, you cannot just restrict with the boundaries. So it is for the betterment of the human being, right? So you have to have regulatory and policies, which has to be as per the local compliances as well as the global compliances. I know some of the countries are taking the lead, including India, like AI mission, or even the data protections law is there. Similarly, like happening with the US, with the investment like 500 billions, they are on the AI kind of thing there. So government of India has to also start, because policy is one thing, it has to be governed from the government side. So that is one of the factor. Then second, within, I would say AI means academia and industry. Collaboration is very, very important, because you have somewhere you have a great practical experiences, but same time you require knowledge partner also. So collaboration of academic and industry is very, very important. In India, few of the premium institute like IIT, IIM, ISRO, all these are doing good. I think we need to increase that. The third factor I would say about the fund, because usually coming to the mature level is a long process and it requires a lot of funding. So particularly a startup point of view, you have to have access to the government grants, funding like VC there. And of course, IPO is then, when product is already proven, then you can go for the IPO stage. But to sustain this thing, I think Green Fund is another, the banks and other things, they are providing it. Fourth, I would say there are so many different organizations, like MeitY is one of them, ISRO is another is there. They have to come in under one umbrella, so people depend upon the size and kind of technology they are doing it. They must collaborate and they say, yes, this is the single window platform. What technology you are doing it, here we have the research scholar, we have your venture capitalist, and other things are there. So it is some sort of making it SEZ, particularly for deep tech, where one single window clearance would be much appreciated. And India is taking the lead, but I think collaboration between the different departments is very much important. And we should not only restrict to the India, because ultimately it is the world is running by the Indian tech people. So we have aspiration for the global kind of. And I see the opportunities. Definitely, India can take the lead in this.
Thank you, Mr. Sinha. I'll, in that, thank you to the panelists who have, given their remarks. I'll open it up to the audience. If anybody has any questions for the panelists, they'll be happy to take that. In that case, what I'll do is I'll actually, ask my fellow panelists to actually just, give their party remarks, or basically some kind of actionable advice that many of the startups sitting inside and people also engaging with the deep tech ecosystem can actually, start enabling it, and then obviously start implementing it. Dr. Ajay, from you first.
So my advice would be to connect with Austria, also connect with your state department or state startup agency. For example, Kerala Startup Mission, we are very well connected. We help Indian startup or Kerala startup with this support. Every state at the federal level or national level, we have collaboration with the Startup India. Then we have ongoing collaboration with MeitY Startup Hub. So maybe connect with your respective startup agencies. We are always floating information on what, when, and how we can support. And it's a bilateral support. It's not just you going to Austria or Austrian coming to India. It's back and forth. It's long-term story. So you build your connection. Right now we have 18 Austrian companies here. One of them is here. Make connections. Use those connections. Make your connection with Austria. Make your connection with Europe. So my advice would be network. Be informed, well informed. I think, and I also believe network is your net worth. So network would be the best opportunity for the Indian startup.
Yeah, same. So networking, of course. So being from the state government, I would like to tell you one thing. Always get connected with the startup ecosystem people from the government there. Why? Because it's not like it's not all about they will be there to support you, handhold you, but eventually, other way around, it will be a learning for them as well. I will tell you a use case. Like there are some amazing defense startups in Kerala. But the thing is, like, when I said we are an ecosystem of 6,000 plus startups, so for obvious reasons, it is always not possible for us to track the best, startups from certain sectors. So what happened is, like, when we gradually started hearing from the defense startups, and then, when we realized that there is a huge potential for the defense startups in Kerala, we discussed that internally. Government had a extensive discussion, and now the discussion went in such a way that a defense innovation zone is about to launch. See, all these came from the continuous interaction with the startups, right? So a defense innovation zone has been announced. Like we will be framing that zone. MOUs has been exchanged, not the MOU, but the collaborations has been discussed with the IDEX, with the DIU. So what I'm trying to say is, like, you please discuss these things, your innovations, your ideas with the government regulators who are particularly focusing on the startup ecosystem. Second one, always have your focus on the SLC, startup life cycle. Like you might have a different set of target, but make sure that in each category, let it be the ideation, let it be the prioritization, let it be the market acceleration, and then the scaling. You have to set a certain level of target in each SLC, and then connect with the right stakeholders. Maybe for the initial two with the right set of mentors, for the last two with the right set of investors, and then with the right set of other stakeholders like corporates and governments, which eventually help you. So you may fail, but keeping that focus in particular will definitely help you succeed a day or some other day. So that's my piece of advice.
Yeah. So for DeepTech startups, so just don't focus only on the tech, right? Tech is not the goal. Tech is the means, a tool to what value you are going to offer. Why would somebody buy a product? So what value you are going to focus on that, right? That's the long-term thing, right? It's the founder used to say that it's building product is not difficult, right? But building the right culture in the company, which takes you long, is also important. So focus on these, right? And to all the other stakeholders which supporting the startup. So for the industry to grow, they have to take care of the complete value chain, right? For example, an EV, I would say, it's not just making a EV product, but is the charging infrastructure there to support the product, right? So the complete value chain has to be seen, right? Can there be initiatives for putting a charging infrastructure for a small vendor? What support are they getting to set up this infrastructure? So like these are the downstream which we have to take care for complete value chain, so for the industry to grow.
Right, Raghudeep, rightly you mentioned the change and the ecosystem. Obviously, while coming before you, what Austria team and the Ajay and what Kerala Startup Mission is already doing, that is, again, they are creating a kind of legacy in terms of the international opportunity for the startup. Similarly, I would quote few of the things which very few of us are aware, that generally being an individual, we used to ask that what kind of scheme is good fit for us. So under the Ministry of Electronics and IT, there is a MyGov entity. You can register yourself on the MyGov. So whatever the activities going across India related to the government ecosystem will be in your inbox. Similarly, if you are looking for any kind of scheme which may be good fit for you, you can register yourself on the My Scheme. Under the MeitY, India AI is the most recently launched scheme, which is again the world's 7th largest AI-based scheme by the any country, which is 1.2 billion of the size US dollar. Out of these 1.2 billion USD, the 20% of the fund size is dedicated to the startups. India Semiconductor, everyone is aware about that the 5 semiconductor manufacturing unit is being set up right now. The chip to startup mission, we just, 2 days back, we had one event where over 300 academic institutions which you were talking about are being supported for the R&D related activities. Under the India C2S, we call it a chip to startup mission. The Genesis, which is recently launched a scheme under the MeitY Startup Hub, the first of its kind. It is India's first central government scheme where we are only supporting startup based out of the non-metro cities. So the startup based out of the metro cities are not eligible for this scheme. Second part of this scheme is again unique, that POC which you are talking about. That again, it's a first central government scheme where we are providing grant support to the startups who have a POC order. For example, you have one POC from the Kerala Startup Mission amounting 40 lakh INR. You can just show that POC to us and we will able to provide you that amount as a grant. So these are the few of the recent schemes which we have right now. Parallelly, as I again quote about the Genesis, because Genesis has done so many cities we have reached out that none of the central government or even the state government scheme related to the startup have reached out. We have the incubation center in the Samba as well as, in the Convergence as well as, in the Tirupati as well as, in the Uri as well as. So many things we have initiated. Just to deep down, we have 65 incubation center based out of the 25 states of the country under the Genesis. I'm talking about these things that you should know that where we are right now, and any startup based out of the any part of the country can avail any kind of scheme from us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so I think a key takeaway is if you are a deep tech startup and you're looking to scale, 3 key words: look beyond the borders. Because whether it's Austria or Australia, just that international experience can bring a diverse way of thinking, diverse opinion, and a diverse way of solving something as well. So if you can bring that knowledge and that experience and suddenly having access to all of these different markets back to India, the growth is going to be absolutely exponential. And obviously the parts that I covered, so market access, R&D, as well as investment, don't necessarily always need to look in country. Go and get it outside and then bring that back in. And just as because I'm here, I'm Aussie and all of that as well, we've obviously got some incredible visa pathways that can be accessed, that aren't that frightening, that are streamlined. You've got innovation visas all the way through to some great project ones, so it's absolutely possible. Thank you.
To grow any new sector, the biggest challenges is to talents. So as for India is concerned, I think that there are some recent studies which show that as for AI is concerned, we have one of the leading resources available in the country itself. Only thing we need to connect the dots. So many separate efforts are being done, so that need to be connected. We have a great example. Nesochem did the great for the in general as per IT is concerned. So whatever you're seeing in the global IT, I think one of the greatest contribution from the Nesochem. Similarly, I am sure the government of India already working on the national deep tech mission kind of thing there. So probably once that would be ready, so it will be connect all the dots, then it is much easier whether you are early stage of business or already you matured. So you need to collaborate at one platform and then scale up. But another word of cautious, I would say, yes, all these are goodies things, but we should not further contribute as far the environment is concerned, because behind all this technology, lot of energy emission are happening. So it's we have to be very sustainable business. So that has to be, each the stakeholder has to keep that into the center of your business. That I would say the takeaway from it.
Thank you. As closing remarks, I'd say that India's deep tech ecosystem remains one which is buzzing with energy, and the vision primarily is on possibly 3 to 4 pillars on securing India's capabilities, bolstering our sovereignty through technology development, ensuring that our march toward a knowledge-driven economy is secure, and obviously promoting ethical innovation, which is the cornerstone. So in that context, I mean, we at MGF Govt have also come with a tagline and a vision of a stronger India and a safer world, where we invest in deep tech startups in very strategic and critical areas, and also provide the secret sauce in terms of platforms that would enable Indian companies to go global. So thank you so much for having all of us here, and thank you so much to my panelists for sparing out the time. Much appreciate, and much appreciate the organizers as well for giving us the chance. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed. And I would request our moderator, Mr. Anagh Singh, to kindly do the honors of presenting mementos to all our eminent speakers. We begin with presenting to Dr. Ajay Singh. Thank you, sir. To Prajeet Prabhakaran. To Raghudeep Madineni. To Mr. Surya Kant, Raghudeep Madineni, to Mr. Surya Kant. To Ms. Natasha. And to Mr. Mukesh Sinha. And may I once again invite Ms. Sakshi Chambla from Exhibitions India up on the stage to do the honors of presenting a token of appreciation and gratitude to our moderator, Mr. Anagh Singh. And may I request our esteemed panel for a